Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. The 2018 Mining Indaba kicked off in full swing this week with renewed investor confidence and hope to further the African agenda. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer attended the Indaba and has the headlines. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashnee.
Now, to kick off with platinum, Ivanhoe's Robert Friedland said that the platinum industry isn't reaching its end of life.
It was a fantastic presentation delivered by Robert Friedland. I mean, he really knocked people's socks off. He came through with a very powerful statement, very powerful narrative. But one of the things that he really focused in on was this China determination to clean the air, because the foulest air is over China. And now that President Xi has gone through his period of more than 5 years cleaning up corruption, the next determination, according to people close to him, is that he wants to clean up the air of China, and that he is looking to fuel cells to do that, which is fantastic for South Africa because it means that platinum demand will increase. And he's saying that why they're going for fuel cells is because it's got such widespread use. You know, it can go into not only cars and even larger cars, but trucks and buses and trains, and I'm saying even planes. So it is definitely requiring a hydrogen infrastructure. But if any country can do that fast, it's China. And if they decide to do it, put in that hydrogen infrastructure, as we see Japan has already started doing quite extensively, and Germany is doing, and if you want to put up new petrol stations in Germany, they say, hang on, where's the hydrogen station? So it's already reached that point that they see the hydrogen age coming, and that will be great for platinum. And so the sentiment was high that although platinum is struggling at the moment, and people scratch their head because they say, you know, when there was a known high stockpile of platinum, the price was high. Now we don't see a stockpile and the price is low. You know, what is this irony all about? Is there something else there hidden that we don't see? The price is not moving. But sentiment like China wanting to go for fuel cell vehicles, and we know that there are a lot of reasons for that, because even gasoline and diesel vehicles coming into Beijing now may only come in if they're trucking and big at night, because the emissions are just too bad for the day. And if they get fuel cell vehicles, and I think the first 18,000 of them were ordered in the first quarter of this year, they will be able to come in during the day because the emission is zero. And so people are looking forward to this now. They're looking longer, because although we hear all over the place that we're going to have the battery car, we're going to have the electric car, you can see that that is quite restrictive to smaller vehicles and restrictive to vehicles that might just go and get a packet of cigarettes at the shop and go down the road, but it can't go into the bigger side at this stage. I mean, some of the people, and even Robert Friedland said that the big drawback there is the way the battery can get drained so fast. So you've got a pure electric car, you're going down to down the road, you might be going for a little bit of a longer distance, and it's freezing. So you turn on the heater, and the heater drains your battery, and the next minute you're sitting there in the cold with neither heat nor locomotion. So you can see that there's a limit to what the battery electric vehicle can give, but what the fuel cell electric give, it's much huger. It can give you, 590 kilometers as they flashed up these cars, the Honda Clarity, and it gets refueled in 5 minutes. Whereas, with the other electric vehicles, it's better to, when you get into your garage at night, plug them in, and when you get up the next morning, you go out, because it takes a much longer time to. So definitely, and Robert Friedland was emphatic about this. Of course, he's talking his own book to some extent, is that the fuel cell will rule ultimately. Of course, he's also in copper, and he shows you the intensity of the copper in the fuel cell car as well. So, the world is going on a wild consumptive phase towards electrical energy, and the best conductor of the electrical energy is copper. So that's another big talking point.
Yeah, and speaking of copper, it's been predicted that at least 22 big copper mines would be needed.
It was so fantastic. I've never seen this person before, but he was talking on behalf of Anglo-American, which of course is our South African DNA company. And he was quite calm, and I was listening to him, and he was saying, you know, on these moderate assumptions, if we assume 2% growth a year for the next 13 years, and if we, which is very moderate, and if we assume that the world will go from 3 kilograms of copper per person consumption to 4 kilograms, which is not unreasonable, given that India is now going for copper and their consumption is 0.2% per person. We're going to need 22 new Kalasis. Now, we know what Kalasi means.
Yeah.
That's mine that is owned by Anglo and Glencore in Chile is either the second biggest copper mine or the third biggest copper mine. They were talking of it as the second biggest copper mine. In 2016, produced something like 506,000 tons of copper. He's saying that in this period to 2030, even at that moderate growth rate, the world is going to need 22 more of those Kalahasis. And he says calmly, when I look at the project list, there's just nothing like that on it at the moment. So what is going to happen? You don't want the price of copper to really shoot through the roof. So people must start realizing that this consumptive era that's coming for electrical energy, and they were saying, you know, even your car, you're not going to have to call Uber because there'll be artificial intelligence you'd already plugged in.
Yeah.
Your car will know that you're coming down there. It's down there already. No call to Uber. When you jump in, they were saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to have a board meeting? Or are you going to watch movies? You know, but whatever you do in there, you're going to use more electricity.
Yeah.
So everywhere you look, people walking down the streets, you know, they're using some form of energy that's electrically based, no matter where you turn. And they say that is just going to grow, you know, particularly with even with population growth. You know, even with population growth projected to 10 billion by 2050, 10 billion people, they're saying in 10 years of the world's population of 7 billion at the moment, there's going to be a movement in 10 years towards 5 billion of those people having moved into a middle income status. So they'll be buying more, which will really put more demand on these metals and minerals. So I don't think any of these people were spoiling their case by exaggeration, but of course you can never tell the future. You know, there can be disruptions, but if there's not a huge disruption, it looks like the guys better get out there and start making sure that they've got enough for these commodities to meet the demand.
Now, also at the Indaba was the investment battlefield competition, where a black emerging miner performed exceptionally well.
I was very happy with that, you know. And behind the scenes now, you know, the Chamber of Mines has got an emerging miners desk, and they haven't been talking much about it, but they've got 25 members. So these are black companies that are emerging. They don't want to call them juniors because juniors, they say, is like really strictly related to exploration companies. Some of these are not. They've gone beyond that. But they are moving people, black people, into mining as owners, as people who are going to build, develop, and probably list. And we saw that there was a big tussle in this investment battlefield, and you can imagine the guys were going crazy to put their case, saying, you know, I've got the best investment case to win this. And of course the Canadians walked away with it because, I mean, you can see it's got a history of junior mining support in Canada, where they've even got the flow-through scheme, and they've got tax incentives and all sorts of things. And it was great that, you know, the South African contender reached the semi-final. So that was I think it was worthy because the intensity that's going into this is quite impressive, and the people receiving the mentorship are quite impressed. And you can see that some of the one-on-one mentors there are very established people. And one of them is Richard Linnell, who we know as a person who even developed the Bakabong initiative and led to the New Africa Mining Fund. So and had Coal of Africa. So he has been in that, and with mentorship like that, one is hoping that many more black entrepreneurs will emerge into the mining space, and eventually I think they'll also start emphasizing the exploration side of it. But that hasn't been done at this stage because you need the whole country to come behind you. So we're going to watch that space. But in the meantime, I think it's great that the Chamber of Mines of South Africa has got 25 members that are in that emerging mining category.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
Great pleasure, Sashnee.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news and analysis on South Africa's mining industry.